Hi, this is Jeff Altman, the Big Game Hunter, and you are watching No BS Hiring Advice. And I have a guest today as opposed to doing a show of my own. Let's try that again. Susan Ibitz, human behavior hacker, and a terrific person who I've got to know through a couple of video accidents. It's probably the best way I could put it. Susan, welcome to No BS Hiring Advice.
Hi, Jeff. How are you doing? Thank you for having me. I would just again and again and again.
This is the third time we've tried on topics. The first one on this, we've had technical problems before. I said enough. We're doing the one about body language we're interviewing. But first of all, I've got to ask you, what is a human behavior hacker?
Well, a lot of people ask the same, and I don't have a intelligent answer. Just I was a profiler for a long time. That's what really I do. I profile people by pictures, email, voice, body, whatever present to me. And when I was doing consulting, or I go to talk to a client and they says, well, who are you? What do you do? And says profiling, people get really scared to me. So I was talking with a friend and says, well, what you actually do is hacking people. Like, oh, you're right. I am human behavior hacker. Some people hack computers. I hack humans. So ta-da!
Perfect. So for those of you who interview, as all of you are who are watching this, the reality is you're looking across a desk, a conference room, a table, or what have you, and noticing different things that people do, the habits that they have, the mannerisms that they have, and not just simply listening to their answers to questions. And from those behaviors, you tend to interpret certain things about them, right? Am I right about this, Susan?
Yes, sir. That's right.
That's Mr. Sir. Don't you forget it.
Mr. Sir. Coach? I can call you Coach?
You can call me Coach. I got the coach hat on today.
Yeah, that's the reason.
So, the most obvious place that I know people make interpretations of others is the classic arm folded in front of the chest interpretation of the, oh yeah, show me, right? The sort of arrogant, cocky thing that is interpreted. So why are they wrong, or how are they wrong?
I'm going to tell you three things that are wrong in body language and non-behavioral communication. One is crossing arms. You crossing arms for many reasons. In my case, when I'm thinking and paying attention, you're going to see me semi-crossing my arms, and even though put a hands on my chin. That's what I'm really concentrated paying attention. So as an isolated situation in queue, you cannot take the person is close to you. It has to do with the temperature in the room, has to do if you have a stomachache, has to do if the women are pregnant, has to do if you have a shoulder problem, if the chair is uncomfortable. When people tend to concentrate, close arms too. So you cannot isolate one behavior as the situational on that person. So if the person move away from you, change position, cross arms, when it's no way the situation justify, that's when you need to pay attention. Another horror story that I have seen and people agree with me and freak me out is when people try to mirror in you without knowing what they're doing. Everybody says, oh, you need to mirror people to be likable. And what about if you're mirroring the wrong action? And what you generate is a reaction where it's going to take a really good situation to a bad one. So if you don't know what is happening, if you haven't practiced and you haven't checked yourself and what you're doing, please don't.
So from an interviewer perspective, you're trying to engage the job candidate and you want them to like you and like the opportunity. Some of you may be mirroring the behaviors that the other person has and has the smile on your face and the head nod thing going of agreement with what they're saying, and you may be agreeing with the wrong thing. Got that?
Yes, correct. And we're going to show micro expressions today, and that's the reason we have nice setting with the monitor, and the people who's going to be listening to this is going to have a PDF thanks to you so they can follow what we say. about what can be expressed as a smile, it's something way more complicated and can kill you. But I don't want to ruin the surprise. We're going to go step by step.
Terrific. Micro expressions. Let's dive into that and how to correctly interpret them.
Yes, coach. So we're going to talk about human behavior hackers for job interviewers. And what I always say is I teach you a toolbox of superpowers. You have a toolbox in your house. Doesn't mean that you're going to use it all the time, but it's good to know that you can reach to those tools when they're needed. And believe me, they can say more than a job interview. They can say relationships, because what I teach is how to better communicate. So feelings are contagious. If you're with someone who's depressed, who's negative, you feel negative. But if you're with somebody who's upbeat, I want to go to work. I want to work with that person. I want to go to that place. And it's happened to me a lot of times. Then I'm going to places and like, no, choose your customer before you choose your business. The same way, choose your boss before you choose your job. So we're going to talk about micro expressions. And we're going to talk about the 3 micro expressions that you see more often on the work setting. Now,
number 1.
I have a quiz for you. What is the difference between this lady, Marilyn Monroe, and the picture with the signs?
Is she communicating stop in both cases?
No.
No. Okay.
She says coming. That was her famous.
Yeah, I know. I was looking at you. I was going for something obvious there. The big stop sign there. Not stop. The lights. Is it the lights on the right picture?
You know what there are? Both.
What?
Signals.
Signals.
One is saying stop. It's the name of the street. And she is giving you a signal. I desire you. I like you. So that's what micro expressions are signals. Now, Paul Ekman started with a grant on the 60s, and he found out that we have 7 micro expressions. Personally, I think it's one more, and I did a class this Saturday where I have Japanese people, I have people from India, from Europe, and United States, and we all agree when I say something embarrassing, people tend to cover their face, so shame, to me at least, should be a micro expression, but I'm not Paul Ekman, so I'm not supposed to be including that, but shame, I think I start finding that is an expression too. But David Matsumoto took it to the next level. He's a professor on the San Francisco State University, and he's a coach for judo students. So in one of the matches, he started finding there are something that we haven't uncovered yet. Now, I want to ask you, what is the difference between the lady on the left of your monitor and to the right? To make it easy, they're both blonde, same age, both loose, they have the same expression. So now what do you think is the difference between both?
Difference. Yeah, they both look sad because of the eyes. That's to me anyway. The mouth is shaped downward in both cases, which suggests sad to me. You're saying difference.
Who do you think is saddest from both girls? The one on the left or the one on the right?
Left.
This one?
Yes, for me, the left is. Is that the typical answer, or do most people choose the one on the right?
Yeah, the most people choose the left. Remember when they told you the things that we do and how we express is learned from behavior from our parents? We learn how to lie from our parents. But in this case, micro expressions are embedded in your head. The lady on the left was born blind. She never saw a micro expression. She never saw sadness. She never saw happiness. The lady on the right, she's sighted. She was born with the option to see. The left haven't. So how the two people, everybody says, I see the person on the left way more sad. How is possible? She never saw sad expressions. So when I says, be careful when you mirroring, it's because your brain is going to take and absorb whatever is happening outside. So if you're mirroring the wrong expression, if you're mirroring the wrong body language, you're going to send the wrong message. I think this is no doubt the micro expressions are born with us, are coded in our DNA.
That kind of reminds me of the famous Amy Cuddy TED Talk, where she does the victory.
Superwoman.
Well, that's Superwoman. She does the V for victory with her arms thing for energy, and champions invariably, sighted or unsighted,
Yes.
will both do that gesture of a V overhead. And obviously an unsighted person has never seen that before, but they know to do it instinctively. They're coded that way. We don't know.
Actually, it's found out through the studies of Matsumoto in 2009, and they were published in the papers. The V from victory, it shows in athletes who won, like the same way to make you small when you lose. So it's encoded in us. So be careful when you're mirroring, because even though if you don't upfront understand what is going on, your brain understands.
Is that presidential candidate Joe Biden in that picture? There's a certain look to his face that reminds me of Biden.
Well, I'm going to ask you, what is confusion, contempt, sarcasm, or bored?
Not bored. To me, I interpret it as either of the middle two, which is contempt and sarcasm, not confusion.
It's contempt.
Yeah.
Contempt is the only micro-expression who shows in one side of the face. So if you see this expression and you do it because you think smile, while you show in the other person that you feel superior, you are going to have a really bad time trying to make that person like you again.
So from the interviewer perspective, there's a signal in that communication that says, okay, there's something I'm doing that isn't connecting with them that allows them to want to dismiss, which is the behavior that I associate with contempt. Does that make sense?
Contempt is negative, is pessimistic, related with no respect.
Yep.
Related to be bored. So if I feel superior to you, you're telling me that you do something right or you do something in a good way, and I show you contempt, is because I think I can do it better than you do, and that contempt shows in my face. Now, you need to be careful when you treat someone that what is going to be the baseline of that person. In my case, I smile to the left. I have an accident. I was a tomboy when I was a kid. I'm not almost still. And I landed in my face. The muscles in the right side of my face are kind of crooked. So I tend to smile to the left side. So you need to check on the baseline. My smile, even though it's not a contempt, is showing on the left side of the face.
So for an interviewer, when they're starting to interpret behavior, it's important for them to notice what the baseline behavior is. So in the case of the smile, if they happen to notice the entire time you're smiling to one side, this is not contempt, this is the normal. So the first thing,
I smiling to one side. For the people who listen to this, I'm showing my normal smile. Actually, if you go to my LinkedIn, you're going to see that I'm wearing dark glasses. I'm not wearing glasses today for you. And I smiling to the left side of the face, and people says, why are you showing contempt? Actually, it's a cry for understanding that you cannot read body language from a picture. You cannot determine if the person, what is the micro expression people is doing from a picture. It's driving me crazy when I see articles on the media when somebody see a picture and they take it, they destroy it and take it completely out of context. You cannot read body language or micro expression if I don't have a continuity on the image. Perfect. When media call me and says, if you don't show me a video, I'm not gonna make an opinion of that because it's my name on the grill. I'm gonna do it.
And thus, folks, as you're interviewing people, you have the real life video in front of you. You have much more ability to accurately interpret if you know what you're really looking for. So picking up here again with contempt, it's negative, pessimistic, related
with no respect, and can be related when you're bored, like, oh, come on, move on. It's negative anyway. If the people they you, whatever of the parts show boredom, you have a problem. You need to pick up the pace. Now, yeah.
No, please continue. You're doing great.
So what is this? Amused, upset, dislike, or embarrassed?
Ew, and which I interpret as being dislike. That looks like dislike to me. And just
you got it.
Hey, finally, I got one right.
What happened the last time?
And for those of you who are listening, this is, I believe, Mr. Bean, who one of those distorted looks on his face, like I've just eaten something foul. I won't guess what it is. It's just something foul that he's eaten. So he's got the scrunched face of disgust, which I correctly interpreted as dislike. Thank you. Please continue.
So dislike, it's a physical reaction. It's like when you go on vacation for 2 weeks and you put your fridge in vacation mode and you forgot the cheese inside. When you open the fridge, so literally it's, yeah, I know that face. That is the face that you do when you do dislike. Now, when you dislike someone, literally no fresh, a bad smell, your body's reaction to something that you say or did. A warning, they don't like the idea, wrong approach. So if you're telling someone how much money they're going to offer you or how much money you want from the position and you have a dislike, that is a situation where the person is completely disagreeing with what you're saying and what you do.
Now, in the image that we have on the screen, it looks like an extreme reaction, just like the Mr. Bean thing does. I just have the idea that there are gradients of this that still suggest the same thing because we live in modern, polite times, and people don't like to completely tip their hand, even if they're unconscious. They're more reserved in some respect. So instead of the extreme ew reaction, they might just scrunch a little bit and not do quite the extreme behavior our person on the slide is doing. Am I right? Yeah.
The reason I'm showing pictures who are extreme is to fixate in your brain what is the expression. If I do a slide, who is the real micro expression, who is a quarter of a second like this, you're going to catch that because you fix the idea what is going on the picture that I show you. When I'm training people to find this, first I show pictures, and after that I show video. Due to technical situation that we're going to be recording this for audio and visual, and how people can access the material, I need to make an approach, and I decide to do the picture. Why? Because people, believe me, is going to remember. They're going to start looking at others. You can go to a coffee shop and you try the coffee and you do this like, this is not the coffee I asked for.
Gotcha. So I got the dislike one. I think most people would get that sort of scrunch that people will make in varying degrees. What's next? What happens next?
Next, we're going to body language.
The real deal.
The real deal. But we need to know the micro expressions too. So, what's the first thing people look at you when you met?
Eyes. Let's see now. Body language, posture, handshake, eyes.
That most people don't know this. And when I saw this study, I was working on a company doing a program with eye tracking. So I asked for the glasses and I went to the street and record what I was looking on the people. And they were right. The first thing we see in someone is the hands. If you're walking on the street and somebody approaches to you, doesn't matter the race, the day, or how they dress, and the hands are in the back, the first perception you have is that person may be going to harm you. So it's important to show hands. When you approach to a dog, you put your hands up. So hands are really important. And you know what is funny? Men pay more attention to women manicure than other women.
Interesting. And I'm wondering, because once you mentioned that, I looked at my own nails there. And you've done the gesture with hands up. I tend to think of the handshake And just for the purposes of the camera, when I do the handshake with someone I'm meeting professionally, I tend to have my hand tilted rather than...
Well, we're going to talk about handshake because you know what? 26% of HR says this is a major turn off if the handshake is not proper. So believe it or not, I spend sometimes even 45 minutes going with people over their handshake. And we're going to show 4 today. They're the most disgusting and problematic in any situation. And in a job situation interview, believe me, if you give the wrong handshake, like, oh my God, I ruined it already.
You mean like the dead fish handshake?
We have that. But the first one is the gas pump.
Hey, how are you?
Yeah, that's happened to me when people met me, or maybe has been reading articles or things like that, or they register for a seminar, like, oh my God, it's a pleasure to meet you. And it's the first person I shake hands with, and my arms start hurting until it get to the elbow and the shoulder. And like by that time, I haven't started the class and my body already is hurting. So you need to be careful with the passionate that you met someone, because you can give the wrong impression and you can show desperation.
So from the employer perspective, if they're getting the gas pump handshake, the candidate is a little bit more desperate in some way.
You can show the perception that you look desperate, even though if I'm a passionate person, so I'm really passionate with my friends, but I need to check on myself when I met somebody for the first time. I'm a hugger. So it says, my first approach is shaking hands, and when I say goodbye, it says, oh my God, I'm a hugger, and I hug. But you need to measure that too.
And that's asking for permission.
I try not to.
That's asking for permission to do it, which is great. The bone crusher, is that about dominance?
Yeah, and it happened with women and happened with men. So if you shake other person's hand too strong, it's going to have the feeling that you're trying to dominate a situation, and it's not a good way to start any relationship or conversation. Try to measure, practice with people, and try to be conscious. Again, shaking hands is 26% how people is going to perceive you even before you say your name. Another one is a sweat hand, and I'm going to be completely incorrect. If I have shaking hands with you and your hands is wet, the first thing you think is, are you coming from the bathroom? Are you nervous? Where your hand has been? And we have germophobic people all over. So imagine if you go into a place and somebody shake your hand with a wet hand, the only thing in that person's head for all the period of the time that you met it is, where is my Purell? So if you go into a place and you're going to drink water or whatever, put the water and any liquid in your left hand. And if you have a sweat hand, says, I'm sorry, I was drinking water. I acknowledge and I do this gesture with my hand against my torso or my legs, and I shake the hand. But I always try, if it's for any reason I cannot avoid to have the water in my right hand, I try to wrap a napkin. But try to avoid it, because even though you justify why your hands is wet, people is going to think, are you just coming from the bathroom? And believe me, it's really difficult to get away from that feeling. Men and women do it. Women think it's more feminine and it's more polite. And sometimes men, what they do is grab, when you give the hand, they grab only the tip of the fingers and shake it. It's not good.
Do they tend to do that when they're shaking hands with women for fear that they're going to have the overwhelming handshake and go into dominance mode accidentally? Obviously it's a cop-out in some way from the handshake, but do you have any sense of what the intention is behind the fingertips?
You know what? Indian people, for example, men shake in Asia, men shake hand with men and women shake hand with women. And some women don't shake hand with men. So when we get obliged to, in a social situation, to shake hands, they tend to put the fingers on front. So you actually don't touch in the completely part of the hand. So sometimes it's an unconscious way to put limit or put a distance between people but doesn't stop to be extremely uncomfortable.
Interesting.
Now, the point is what you don't need to do, now how to do it. Handshake, confident attitude, smile, shake 2 times and let it go. And most people say shake 3 times, but make the expression shake 3 times. It's too much. And another thing is, if you don't know the proxemic of the other person, how the other person like to be approached, I would say, get in your position, get 1 step forward, do 2 handshakes, and go back to your position.
So start at base, take a step toward the person, extend your hand for the handshake, do a double moderate pump.
Yes.
Secure, but not bone crusher, and then step back to base.
Yeah, never shake the hand with your hand on top, or don't offer your hand submissive. Go straight line.
Got it.
So if you want to show that you are present and you are empowered, and top of the low is not a good position. When you go straight, is I know what I'm doing, and I tend to lean with my body. So I get a step back, 1 step forward, I lean with my body, shake 2 times, look on the eye until you recognize what is the color of the eye of the person you have in front of you, and come back.
So it's, of course, the eye contact. It's also eye contact as you're doing the handshake.
Remember, eye contact, if you do more than 60 to 7% of eye contact, it's look weird. People who lie tend to look at you all the time against what most people think, because they want to make sure you're lying. So manage your eye contact. Don't look like a creepy, and it's okay to look on the different sides of the room. And admit, if you look into the right or you're looking into the left, doesn't mean that you're recollecting images or recollecting memories. We have fMRI studies showing that is not right. If you don't have a baseline, you cannot determine if somebody's lying or not based on where they're facing the eye. When I'm recalling things, I close my eyes, because I'm extremely visual. So the only way for me to recall things are closing my eyes. So how are you going to determine if I'm lying or not? It's no way.
Right. So just to follow through on this, the interpretations for the interview are that we've covered the negative handshakes and the correct one. I'm curious about one gesture I notice you do, which is the nose thing. When someone goes to their nose in some way, is there a tendency for that to mean something in particular? Confess, Susan, what did that gesture mean?
In my case, I'm living a really bad flu, so I feel uncomfortable in my nose. I touch my nose. Doesn't mean that I'm lying. The point is,
You're congested.
I just touch my nose again. I scratch it. And another thing, I wear all the time. I wear my glasses all the time. So when I'm not wearing my glasses, I still go to my face to correct them, because when a woman is wearing makeup and wearing glasses, the glasses tend to slice to your nose. So if you're wearing glasses and you go into an interview, get your glasses, because your nose is going to tend to do the dislike. It's happened to you when you feel your eyewear is falling from the nose.
Right.
You do the dislike. So if you're using glasses, get your glasses on. I shouldn't have my glasses today, but the reflection on the lights were too much and was weird.
Thank you.
The glasses.
But for someone other than you, when they do the nose thing, does that mean lying?
Well, they says that Pinocchio effect is true, because when you lie, your nose tends to itch and you hyperventilated, because you use 30% more of your brain matter when you lie. So you tend to hyperventilate. So yeah, but what I like the most is the bird.
The what? I'm sorry.
The bird. The bird.
The bird.
The bird, like the flying bird. You see this gesture?
Uh-huh.
When you put your middle finger in your face, or you touch your face with the middle finger, check, because it's true. That's what the other person is thinking about it. So I caught myself, and I've been photographed doing the bird, and sometimes seminars or classes when somebody's driving me crazy. And they did it on purpose, and like, you do it too. And it's unconscious, but it's happened. Like, what are you doing now? That's the bird. If you check on politicians, it's funny. If you Google the bird, the hand gesture, you're gonna find experts. Former President Obama used to do it all the time when he was pissed off with someone. It's crazy.
Very funny. So yes, what is yes referring to here?
Show hands. Use your hands as a perimeter of emphasizing what you're saying. If I says, I have a big idea, use your hands to gesture. If you're gonna talk about three things, use three fingers to show it. Show your hands up. That shows that you're open. I'm telling you what I think. I'm telling you what the company's offering, and I'm telling you that what happened in my last company. Show your hands. It's a sign of openness, and you don't hide in anything.
And
things in your hands.
And from the standpoint of those who may listen to this later, you went from open hands to a closed gesture.
Closed gesture, which shows that you close. If I show my hands closed next to my chest, like I'm doing now, it's not a comfortable gesture for you to see. It's like, what is wrong with Susan? Well, she's uncomfortable. But if I open my hands, like, and the monitor, now that we are recording, even though I'm standing up and I'm next to the monitor, I make sure that the camera is positioned where you can see my hands moving. So I talk to my hands. Beside them being half European and half from Latin, where everybody talks with the hands, and my dad is Italian, I do it because it shows the people that I'm open.
And thus, going back to the notion of cultural difference, U.S.-centric behavior is less hands, but there are certain cultures that are much more exaggerated, much more dynamic with the use of the hands, and there's so much more energy being put into the conversation that if you interpret this incorrectly, what you're getting is a lot of passion and zeal, because that's the cultural thing, right?
Have you ever been in Italy?
I haven't been to Italy yet. I have been to Britain and France. I've been to Latin America.
Well, in Italy, you want a coffee, you make the expression with the fingers. You don't ask for a coffee, or you use the round circle when you want to wrap it up. When I'm doing a recording, I'm doing a class, and I bring somebody from the team, they start doing the symbol with the finger, like, wrap it up, you're late. I always late for my presentation because the Q&A always longer than I expect. So they start, wrap it up. So you use your hands. You can use your hands to symbolize. If you're in a restaurant and it's really congested and people is loud, if you raise your hands, the maitre d' know that he or she need to come to your table. So use your hands.
Gotcha. So hands up is yes. Oh, looking down. I think in terms of, in NLP, the interpretation is around being in a feeling state.
Well, in this case, we're going to talk about feet and legs.
Ooh.
Freud says you can lie with your face, but you cannot lie with your feet. On Friday, I was giving another class, and after the class, a woman approached to me. I'm like, well, I don't get it. And I start reading her face, and I'm reading her, and she leaned her foot, legs, and lower torso to the door, and she was facing me and says, well, you can go anytime you want. You want to leave the room. Like, how you know? I'm looking at you. Like, no, your torso is looking at me, but your hips, your legs, and foot are facing the door. You're feeling uncomfortable, and you want to leave the conversation. And she says, yes, I kind of feel naked. It's true what you're saying, but it's kind of feel naked. So if you're on an interview or in a meeting and somebody's facing the door, take a look, that give a break, because maybe the only reason is the person need to have a bathroom break, or is not engaged on the conversation. If two people, like the first picture, the two people are facing the feet to each other, they're engaged. But in the second picture, the woman is engaged, and the person on the right, who's a man, is not engaged in the conversation.
And on an interview, I'm thinking that sometimes people turn sideways for physical comfort. Like men with the leg cross sometimes will turn sideways or toward a side in order to be a little bit more comfortable in the chair. Women may do the same thing with the leg cross as well, but I've tended to pay more attention to men doing this. And looking by the quizzical look on your face, I'm wondering if I'm interpreting that correctly.
One foot is going to be on the air, but the foot who is standing on the ground probably is going to be facing you. Even though if I cross my legs, the first one who's going to the ground is going to be facing you. The second one on the top can be facing everywhere. When one leg is facing you, you're safe.
Gotcha. And the tapping foot, impatience?
Can be a tick. I wouldn't take it out of the context. I'm really impatient because my brain is going too fast, and sometimes you have those meetings with people. It's people-oriented, and I'm not people-oriented, even though I work with you. Sometimes I don't have a lot of patience. I start jiggling my legs, so my business partner just always put the hand in my leg, like, stop it, making me like this person is making me nervous.
Okay.
Not good.
Back to you with the feet.
Mom?
Back to you. I'm sorry.
Head. When we tend to do this, the men, but it's a sign of openness and it's a sign of I'm present and listen to you. And I have 2 tricks with this. Head. Dogs and people do the same. We tend to look to the right, like when we're holding a baby. So it's a nurture situation. When somebody is tilting the head to the right and showing the neck, is because I can be vulnerable with you. I feel safe. So if you're in a situation where you're meeting with someone and the person is tilting the head and showing you the neck, it's because it's feel comfortable. Now, if you want somebody to finish talking fast, start tilting the head really fast, and the person is going to start moving faster to finish. But if you want the person keep talking, tilt the head to turn really slow, and the person is going to keep talking.
It almost feels like encouragement when someone does that.
Yes, sir. Yes, coach. I'm sorry. We have a bonus.
Ooh.
Most people doesn't know how to sit when they go to an interview. And I use red and blue. If you're sitting across the table, you put in a barrier between you and the other person. So even though if you need to sit in this situation, I would say if the person who is in charge is sitting here, try to move the chair on a 45 degree. It looks more personal. It looks more inviting. Try always to sit in 45 degree angles or 120 degree.
So it doesn't mean that someone's rude if they move the chair.
No.
Okay.
When you leave in the interview, put it back.
Yes, but
you're ruining the order in my office. I'm going crazy.
So back to the idea of this, and I'm going to do this for the people who listen. With the chair behind the desk properly positioned, the idea is not to sit directly opposite the person, but to move to in effect, almost the corner of the desk on either side, and do the interview from what, as you said, is a 45-degree angle in order to ensure that you're not straight on with the person.
It's kind of intimidating and not personable. And remember, when you interview any of the sides, both sides are selling to each other. Both sides are going to be seeing each other if that interview goes well. So I would say I've seen friendly, because I want to work with people who's friendly. And if you move the chair to 45 degrees and says, you know what, I feel like we are on opposite sides of the table. I move the chair 45 degrees, but don't worry, I'm going to put it back when I leave in the meeting. You break in the ice, you look like you can take control, and you are more friendly, approachable.
I know what I did my master's, and I hadn't been in school in 20 years. And I'm going into class at the beginning. You got all the desks in a row with a teacher in front, and I'm sitting front and center. I am front and center in front of this instructor. And you know, I remember her commenting to me at one point, feeling that I was confrontational. Because
the person who feels When you're gonna do, I don't like the U-shaped setting on trainings, and I always ask the company not to do it because the person who sits to your right, where your right hand is located, is gonna be the consigliere, is gonna be the person, the puppy, the cheerleader. The one in front is the one who won fight, and the one on the left is gonna drive you crazy. I always, when I'm going to a class and see the U shape because the company does it, and it is no way I can negotiate that. I look on the left and says, "You're gonna give me a hard time, and I'm gonna give you back." So measure. And the one on the front, like you're gonna make the worst questions, and I'm sure that person always have pointy eyebrows with straight eyebrows, and is gonna be interrupting and talking. Yeah, the person in front of you is gonna drive you crazy.
So for
you was that.
So for you as an interviewer, what you're ideally trying to do is to have two chairs on the other side of the desk at the 45-degree angle, not the one directly opposite you, in order to make this into a more comfortable conversation rather than the one chair adversary thing.
Yeah, remember when you interview in both sides, glass tables, your feet are seen, so be careful what you do with your food. Be careful with chairs with wheels. If you're moving and the wheels are making noise, it's horrible. So try not to have wheels with chairs with wheels because it's uncomfortable for both parts. And by the way, when you're trying to get away from a situation, you're going to do the physical action and the chair is going to make sound. And you never know which part maybe want to get away. If you know how to control the situation, I put the other person in a wheelchair, a chair with wheels, so I can hear when the chair is falling, a little one on the floor. And sometimes I do interviews or meetings on the phone, and I can hear the chair like, oh my God, this person is nervous.
Isn't that fun?
Oh yeah, what I do have fun. I says I have a hobby with a paycheck. I have a lot of fun. And if I'm not working on the weekends, I tend to do pro bono. I do classes for my friends. This Saturday, I give a class in love, and my singles friends came home to visit, and we were talking about how to read people's profiles. We went through profiles. We have a lot of fun.
This is terrific. Hey, Susan, how can people find out more about you? I'm sorry.
We have two more facts.
Oh, perfect. Sorry.
That's 380 questions a day. What we lose as adults is to make more questions. So ask questions. People do not lie to you. People don't betray you. You allow that to happen because we don't know the right questions. Always, everybody you met has something to teach you. Be modest. Ask questions. Be interested to interest other people. Don't be boring. Don't be bored. Talk to others is the best way to know about people is asking questions. And I hope that whatever has happened to you, that's you're hired. And that's me with the smile and the glasses.
This is hysterical. I didn't know about the other slides, folks. Susan, thank you. How can people find out more about you, the human behavior hacker?
Well, they can Google human behavior hacker. Now I show everywhere. You can look for me in LinkedIn, Susan Ibitz, or you can go to our website, Human Behavior Lab. We try to publish as much as we can. We're going to finally launch the YouTube video that I've been procrastinated to do, but now I'm going to do it.
Thank you. And folks, I'll be back soon with more. I'm Jeff Altman, the Big Game Hunter. And if you enjoy this and you're watching on YouTube, click the like button, subscribe to the channel. There's a lot more that gets released every day, every week. Subscribe to the channel. You'll learn a lot more. If you're interested in my coaching you with regard to hiring, job search, or being more effective in the workplace, connect with me on LinkedIn at linkedin.com/IN/the Big Game Hunter. Mention that you saw the video. I like knowing I'm helping some folks. Once we're connected, message that you're interested in coaching. We'll set up time for a free discovery call. I hope you have a great day and take care.